I would like in the outset to extend my thanks to the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research for inviting me. It is also my pleasure to congratulate you on the holy month of Ramadan. The economic development, and to talk about economic development is an issue nowadays, especially if we discuss development in its broader sense. Because in its broader sense, it aims at upgrading the socio-economic status, the political status as well, in all different aspects and fields. However, in order to focus on the economic level, what matters to us is to discuss the dimensions agreed upon by different economists. There are three dimensions of economic development. The first dimension, the providing employment for the human resources. This is an important element and a prerequisite for economic development. When there is full employment, it means there is a high living condition for those people. The second dimension stresses the development. However, it's not enough unless it aims at development and upgrading the living conditions of the people. Any economic development should not aim at providing the basic needs of the people, but rather the continuity and upgrading those basic needs. The third dimension is related to the development of human resources. It gives the incentive to achieve the developmental goals that contribute to building the national economy. Within these three dimensions, we look at the economic development in the United Arab Emirates since the 70s of the 20th century. There were efforts exerted with the aim the path followed by the United Arab Emirates with the aim of creating a solid basis for the economic development in the UAE. Efforts were exerted to provide the infrastructure needed, and this would speed up the economic development of the country, the infrastructure and the human resources needed. The building of the modern state is based on the free economy, the freedom of the individual in choosing the profession, and the free economic system without taxes. Also, openness to the world in terms of exportation and the freedom of trade exchanges in general. The oil revenues contributed to a great extent in introducing the changes in Emirates directly and indirectly. Indirectly through the development of the productive sectors, other productive sectors that can contribute to the economic development in general. The economic development dimensions, if we get into some details and started talking about the first dimension, which is employment. The Emirates, since its establishment in all its strategic plans, aimed at providing good opportunities for the labor force, the human resources in the country. This is with the aim of having this labor force as an active factor in the economic development. The idea was not to provide the job opportunities only. The idea was to build what we call the human wealth. through education, through training, several training opportunities that were made available to everybody. The investments in the human resources in order to be capable to direct the development and to be on the right track. The second dimension, which is the real growth, we all realize that the growth phase in the United Arab Emirates was quite rapid, and there were quantum leaps. And despite the active role played by the oil sector in accelerating the growth rates, and it was the basic element to create the structural changes needed, there was at the same time realization that the economy cannot depend solely on the oil sector. This is why there has been a tendency to create a diversified production base, because creating productive sectors would contribute to creating diversified sources for the national economy and national income. These diversity efforts were coincided also with the development of different sectors, including trade, finance, services, and others. Another important dimension in the development of the UAE was not to depend on the state, but to involve the private sector to be an active member in and a partner in the development. If we are to mention the growth rates of the economy of the Emirates, we can say there were different phases, sometimes really high growth rates and sometimes less growth rates, ranging based on based on different factors, because this is an open economy that is affecting and be affected by the development around it. However, we can say that there has been always a rapid growth in the economic fields. Despite the financial crisis, the growth rates have always been positive. Figures show that in 2011 growth rate was 4%. The other productive sectors contributed noticeably in this growth, which means that both the oil sector and other economic sectors were working hand in hand. However, the oil sector is still playing the major part. The GDP in 2013 was 1,067 billion dirham, which means that it has been rapidly developing in the past few years, and it increased by 165 times. The third dimension I've just mentioned is the human development. We all realize that the right path for any economic development cannot be achieved in isolation from the institutional, social, cultural aspects, and in the forefront of these aspects is the development of the human resources. This is to face all the challenges. The strategic vision has realized the importance of shifting towards the knowledge-based economy that aims at the development of an economy whereby the development is based on knowledge and creativity through investments in ICT, in education, and all other aspects that can contribute to the competitiveness of the country. The human development indicators show that the United Arab Emirates is on the right track in the human development aspects. When talking into details about these indicators, although this would need lots of time, however, I can say that in the last report, the United Arab Emirates comes in the number 1 on the level of the Arab countries and 13 on the level of the world, based on the report issued by the United Nations. It is one of 2 countries in the Arab region that comes as in the group of highly developing countries, and it comes as number 4 on this list when compared to other states in the world. The development strategies in the UAE is based on achieving high growth rates steadily, and it was realized that we need to create productive self-developing sectors that are open to the world, because we increasingly live in an open world, and we expect trade exchanges and openness in different fields. This is why the strategies of growth were developed to be coordinated on the local, regional, and international levels. And in order to increase this development, there should be a conducive environment. And this conducive environment can be represented by having an integrated economy that is internationally competitive. The strategies, especially the federal state strategy, comprises different aspects of development, and all the economic decisions were built on studies that draw a clear picture of the future that takes into consideration the requirements of the present and the future generations. We all know that the oil wealth is a depleting wealth, and we should leave part of what we have now to the future generation. The 2020 vision and Abu Dhabi 2030 vision identified those objectives and prioritized the fields and detailed the phases, as well as the assessments that should be conducted in order to create the diversified base and to have job opportunities in order to achieve the strategy that aims at diversifying the production and creating a balanced and inclusive development. This model, as I've already mentioned, requires an economy that is opening up to the world economy and believes in the individual capabilities. The model adopted by the Emirates required also having some pioneering jobs that can employ the youth and develop the opportunities for the entrepreneurs and support SMEs within a national effort that encourage entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation. It should give the citizens incentives to contribute to the development. In realization of the importance of the role that should be played by the private sector, the state entered in a strategic partnership with the private sector in order to give it its due role in the development and to direct its investments to the productive sectors. This is all with the aim of supporting industrial, agricultural, and service activities. The government has realized that with the aim or in order to create a sustainable development, there should be an institutional framework that regulates the economic action. This is why it issued a number of laws and legislations to regulate the economic action, and it creates the institutional and legislative frameworks in order to organize the economic activities. The aim is also to improve the investment climate and to attract more local and international investments. As I've already mentioned, the United Arab Emirates is a country that endeavors to open up to the world economy, and it also works to improve its competitiveness. This is why it wants to go beyond the traditional economic models and to establish flexible models that can provide the needs for the business sector, the consumer sector, and to meet the needs and wants of the consumers. Of course, taking into consideration the international criteria in order to be competitive in the international markets as well. I will conclude by referring to the challenges. Despite this picture that I've just drawn of the path of development that is followed and is actually being followed by the United Arab Emirates in order to create an inclusive and balanced development to be sustainable. However, there are challenges, and these are challenges that are in different economies in the world. The most important challenge is the diversification of the production. The oil sector is still dominant, contributing by more than 40% to the GDP. And it still represents 77% of the government revenues. So the first challenge is to diversify the economic sectors, and we should exert more efforts in order to diversify the production. The second challenge that should be dealt with is the imbalance in the demographic structure. Everybody knows that the Emirati nationals in UAE, I wouldn't say the aboriginal, because we are not talking about the Red Indians here, with the percentage of the Emirati nationals is still low considering the overall demographic structure. It represents 16% according to the statistics of 2006. It decreased to 11% in 2011, and this is not a healthy indicator. Also, the participation of the nationals in the labor force decreased from 16% in the beginning of the 80s to 8% according to the statistics of 25. Despite the involvement of women and the high education they receive, and they are really in good numbers in higher education. However, the participation of women is still low. Women are in different sectors and at different levels. However, the percentage of the contribution of women does not exceed 16% according to the statistics of 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 2011. 20 Another challenge is emerging recently, which is unemployment. The nationals' unemployment and the rates ranges between the different Emirates. And according to the figures I have, the unemployment in some Emirates is more than 7%. This is the unemployment of Emirati nationals. There is another challenge that should be indicated, which is the low productive efficiency. Based on a study conducted by Dubai Economic Council, it concludes that the productive efficiency of the labor compared to the production of other countries is low, really low. The contribution of an employee in the production is very low. There is another challenge. Figures show that the rates of consumption in Emirates are very high once compared to the world consumption rates. However, the savings and investment levels are quite low, also compared to international figures. I would like to conclude. I'm sorry, I'm sure I have taken more than the time allocated for me. Let me stop here, actually. Anyway, I will conclude by saying what is needed. Very quickly, I can say we should focus on endeavoring to decrease the role of the oil sector and to give more attention to other productive sectors in order to think long-term and strategically. The plans should also be on the level of all Emirates and not on few Emirates level only. And the private sector should play a major role in the development and implementation of these plans. And these plans should take into consideration the use of the oil revenues in activating the role of other productive sectors. We should also focus on issuing more economic laws and to involve the economic sector, the private sector in the drafting and development of these laws and regulations. We should also endeavor to enhance regional investments, encourage FDI and foreign investments, and we should adopt employment policies that aim at attending to the imbalance in the demographic structure. I will conclude by mentioning that the World Bank classified Emirates in its report of 2011 entitled The Diversity in the World Economy and placed Emirates as the first country in the region based on its role contributing to the world economy and especially its role as a major hub for mergers and acquisition transactions in the world, and Emirati companies are becoming multinational and transnational companies. I thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fatima Shamsi, for this presentation that presented the development of United Arab Emirates. I would like now to invite Her Excellency Maitha Salem Shamsi, who will tell us about the development in the United Arab Emirates, the challenges and the opportunities. Her Excellency Dr. Maitha Al-Shamsi is the Minister of State, and she is also chairman of the Marriage Fund and an advisor to Her Highness Sheikha Fatima bint Mubarak, the Supreme Chairperson of the Family Development. She previously served as President of Zayed University and Assistant for Research at the United Arab University. She has been awarded a number of international prizes, such as Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for Arab Management in 2023, and the Best Personality by the Biography Cambridge Center in the United Kingdom in 2002, in addition to many other awards. She has a PhD in sociology, and she focuses her research on women, population, migration, employment and development in the GCC countries, and she has many studies. Dr. Maitha Salem Al-Shamsi, it's our pleasure to have you in this Ramadan strategic dialogue. The floor is yours, madam. Thank you. I would like to congratulate you all of the holy month of Ramadan as we finalize the first 10 days of Ramadan. I wish you many happy returns of this holy month and prosperous future for our country under the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa and all the sheikhs in different Emirates. The development, as you all know, as researchers and experts in different fields, it is growth and increase, whether in economic or social aspects. We all studied development. However, we practiced development under the wise leadership and the vision of the late Sheikh Zayed, who established this state and who developed all dimensions of development. It is not the balanced development only, it's not the inclusive development only, but the sustainable development. His Highness Sheikh Zayed, God bless his soul, worked intuitively. He had the charisma to understand this homeland, the resources, the people of these countries, the capacities, and where are we heading. Based on all that, we have had development experiences that are unique, not because we are Emiratis, but it's not only us as Emiratis. All those who live in our country and studied what we've achieved would really feel proud that this is a development that started from the desert with a will and a vision. Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, God protect him and our wise leadership under the leadership also of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and his brothers, the governors of the Emirates, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who works with silence in order to really ensure that this development is on the right path, and in order to sustain the gains of this development to us all. This is the reality, and we should thank God daily because we live the experiences of many developmental countries that are on the path of development. They achieved some development, but our development is really unique. We have we have achieved 7% as a growth rates. However, other countries' experiences was not inclusive. There were people who are poor and who live under the poverty line. Some people do not find what to eat. However, our country could achieve development on different levels. When I talk about scientific concepts in development, for example, giving priority to investments in education and health, having inclusive development, achieving justice, good investments of the natural resources, and the preservation of the environment. These are all concepts, but what is more important than reading about them is to practice them, to feel them, to live them in reality. And this is what we have. This is what we do. We are contributing to the productivity of this development. There is a rapid development in the real income or the per capita share of the national income. There is an improvement in the services and the commodities, improvement of the healthcare, all different dimensions of development, the social, the environmental, and the economic are all achieved under the wise leadership. All countries endeavor to increase the GDP and to improve the living conditions of the people. However, some countries lack the practices and the applications that can lead to real development that is sensed, felt by the ordinary person to make those people happy. I'm not exaggerating actually, but you can realize this, and I think all citizens and residents in the United Arab Emirates sense what I'm saying. The main problems of the economic development, these are not economic problems, but problems facing the economic development. We need to focus on the social and the developmental aspect to build the human being and to develop its the human capacities and to upgrade the living conditions of the people and to respect the people in order not to live in poverty and to take all their rights. These are all the issues that capitalize or that are seen when we have real development. The heads of states in many conferences met in order to reach the concept of sustainable development. Sustainable development means that all countries have economic and human resources. However, these countries should consider the future generations that should benefit from these resources. It's not only today, it's not only tomorrow, but years to come. This is sustainable development. There are many concepts developed and many agreements concluded in order to achieve sustainable development. Sustainable development is not a new concept for us. 42 years ago, Sheikh Zayed worked when he had the tissue culture in the Emirates University to develop the dates trees, the palm trees. This is a strategic vision. How can we have dates and the palm trees as trees for the future? When he considered the development of Al-Fu'a farms to produce wheat, he was considering the future production. Development does not mean that I should import everything. We should produce internally. This is the developmental approach adopted by, created by Sheikh Zayed and followed by Sheikh Khalifa. God has blessed us with this wise leadership that could take us on the path of development, to study all the elements of development. We did not study development as concepts in the universities and schools. If you go back to the history of the establishment of this state, you can see this is interpreted in all the concepts, because unless there is a reality, those concepts wouldn't mean anything. The theories intuitively developed by Sheikh Zayed, and God blessed us with this wise leadership to lead us to real development. Sheikh Zayed focused on the environmental resources to the extent that he tried to make use of the mangrove trees, the other environmental resources, the palm trees, the desert. It's not only the oil. When we talk about diversification of revenues, that was in the intuitive thinking of the establisher of this country. He wanted to diversify the sources of the economy and to give due attention to sustainable development that does not depend on one source. We need to develop the oil sources, and we should have oil industries, because the oil products can be developed into many industries. These are many fields, and the wise leadership considers supporting all these sectors. There are plans and programs that are based on a principle, which is the involvement of the human being, and build the human resources and make all human resources as partners and not only beneficiaries of the development. Now, in the educational process, whether in the basic education, secondary or higher education, and also the national service, there are those attempts to teach our generation what is the developmental thinking and how can we contribute to the making of development. These resources and these ideas are not to be consumed by one generation. They should be considering the future generation. The environment, Sheikh Zayed gave due attention to the environment, and our wise leadership today, Sheikh Khalifa and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, Sheikh Hamdan bin Zayed, many environmental issues are the focus because the environment is an important element of sustainable development. To have development means to develop a better human behavior towards the environment. How can or how should the interaction between the human being and the environment should be? Because this is better security for the future of the human being. Dr. Fatima mentioned some achievements. I have summarized the development. Emirates came in the category of the highly human development country, and the Emirates wants to be the best country in the world by 2021. According to its vision, the Middle Emirates came first on the MENA region in items of welfare and prosperity. Emirates came also first in government efficiency and the quality of government decisions, absence of democracy. According to the competitiveness annual book of 2013, Emirates came first on the MENA region and fourth on the world level, according to the report of the United Nations of 2014. It's also comes fifth in the index of employment moving 10 places ahead. How could we achieve all those results? And you as participants, all of you, those I can see and those that I cannot see from what I see, this is Ramadan Council, so we should have a better vision of each other so we can see and hear. The Emirates have two characteristics that make the developmental effort succeed. First, the wise government. Second, the distinctive administrative performance. Why? Because the government of the United Arab Emirates, and since its establishment, works to develop administration, the administrative structure, building the employees' capacities. There are many efforts in order to achieve this objective. In light of all that, the wise government worked to create better job opportunities continuously, not only the vision for the public sector, but the private sector, the government sector. All these visions and contributions are creating more opportunities. Khalifa Fund for the youth projects, Mohammed bin Rashid Fund, also the contribution of Her Highness Sheikh Fatima in empowering women economically through different programs such as productive households, creative households, entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. All these efforts collectively, with good coordination and cooperation, we find that there is a creation of better job opportunities for our young people. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, works continuously to upgrade the services, the quality of the services extended to the nationals. There are also contributions, development, creativity in order to upgrade the services extended to the people, including the government services, and everything now is provided on the mobile phone. These are only part of the opportunities created by the United Arab Emirates. Also, the broader sense of sustainability. It's not only the environment, the sustainability in everything. The government of Abu Dhabi, and through Abu Dhabi Award for Government Excellence, work to achieve sustainability in the tendency of these awards, which means that whether on the strategies, plans, programs, or at the level of the institutions, employees and workers in the government, they all have this tendency of sustainability. Also, the natural resources should be protected in order to safeguard it for the future generation. The economic growth at the time when the union was developed, the national economy was with a GDP of 6.5 billion dirham. Ever since, the economy has grown with a growth rate of no less than 4% annually. Some countries, when achieving 4% growth rate in 1 year, they would be very happy. However, over 40 years, the United Arab Emirates achieved an average of 4%. The GDP in 2013 was 1,176 billion dirham, which means that the GDP since the establishment of the union up till 2013 has doubled 164 times. We are creating a development that is inclusive, balanced, and sustainable. The economy is diversified, balanced. How can the economy be balanced and diversified? We as countries are subject to fluctuations of globalization, whether financial or economic. I would like to go back to the basic point, because there is a wise leadership. This wise leadership studies all the issues and predicts all the problems that can be of impact on our country, so they act preemptively. This is why the oil sector was contributing by 70%. Now it contributes by 30%. It doesn't mean that it is deteriorating. No, we save it, and we have encouraged other sectors to contribute to the national economy. The oil economy is also a blessing. We should develop this resource into other resources, and we should also work in order to develop the economy in order to have sustainable development, because if we consider sustainable development, we should not think of the depletion of the oil resources, because the oil might deplete, but our brains are there. If you build a human being through education, through employment, you can sustain the gains of development for years to come, because the human being is the main source, and these human beings would develop other human beings, making the development process continuous, especially when realizing what have been achieved and how can we preserve what been achieved. That foreign trade of UAE increased from 3 billion to 1,500 only for the oil sector in 2013, which means that the oil sector is also developing. However, we should encourage other sectors. The per capita increased from 86% from 1,000 dirham to 174 in 2010. There are always indicators that show us the strength of the economy. The Emirates is classified in the category of the countries of high income. We are working on our economy and building the human beings, and the human beings will be the ultimate beneficiaries. The investment share in the GDP whether local or international are increasing. The FDI achieved a surplus of 1.1 billion dirham compared to 0.04 billion dirham in 2011, which means investments, foreign trade, the development of oil sector, all are developing. The data also shows the increase of the industries, representing 38% in 2011, and investments in industry is higher than investments in oil, which reflects the state's focus on SMEs. Also, there is 41.8% development in the agriculture and also the transportation sector. I would like here to indicate the idea of moving towards knowledge-based economy. This is a shift also based on the interest of the wise leadership in developing education, building developmental approach that adapt to the knowledge-based economy, and it contributes to improving services. 5 international organizations focusing on development, including UNCTAD, UNDP, UNESCO, and WIPO, as well as ICT, developed a report on innovative economy and developed an indicator that indicate to what extent innovation is a developmental choice. Of course, those who invented Twitter, Google, and others are contributing to their economy. So creativity and innovation are of increasing importance, and the Emirates wants to achieve the developmental objectives through a knowledge-based economy in order to have this as conducive to the development. This report has placed Emirates where? Can you tell me? Can you tell me where is Emirates in this report? After 42 years of development, we come first on the MENA region and number 10 on the world level in terms of the innovative and creative economy. This is something that we stress with our students today. We should include innovation as a developmental option. The same report indicates that the creative, innovative economy products reached $48 billion, representing 6.9% of the total world exports in 2010 of these products. These are very good results, and they show that we are not following a traditional developmental path. We are adapting to the development in the world, the shift to sustainable development. We worked on sustainable development even before the term was created. We are also working to have sustainable development and the knowledge-based economy in order to achieve good results. And these are the results of 2010 compared now the 2010 to or 2008 up till now. The federal state has developed 3 strategic plans for its work, including education, health, social care, civil society organizations, youth empowerment. All these sectors are included in those strategic plans. Parallelly, Emirates achieved a lot in the field of e-government based on the UN report for 2012. It is the report that detects the e-government development. Emirates is on 28 rank on the world level in the competitiveness index. We were 48 in 2010. In 2012 we became 28. Imagine all those efforts in order to achieve those results. The United Arab Emirates, the government, the vision, the leadership, and the mission we do not compare ourselves to third world countries nor to Arab countries. We compare ourselves to the developed countries, and we want to become in the forefront of these countries, and we could achieve a lot that qualify us to think as such. We are a pioneering country in renewable energy sector. It is a developmental option and a developmental choice, especially that we are a country that hasn't got water resources. In order to consume electricity, we need to desalinate seawater, and also we desalinate seawater in order to have drinking water. So we need to work in line with the world development. This is why in 2009 we hosted IRENA. We were chosen as a venue or headquarter for IRENA because we prepared our file, and we used to go to the countries and to the universities to show them what has been achieved in the United Arab Emirates in education, in energy. What are our resources of renewable energy? We have the wind energy, we have the solar energy, the research and development. This is important to develop alternative energy in the United Arab Emirates. So a good part of the development is achieved now in the field of renewable energy, and this produces 7 to 10% of the world investments in this vital sector. And now the investments in the renewable energy are more than 250,000 million US dollar, which means that our country invests in renewable energy. Not for us today, but for the future generation. Our future society that should have access to energy. So the energy is not what we have today. The developmental approach is the approach that is based on sustainability. The United Arab Emirates worked on an idea which is the development of Masdar, and it is the biggest station for generating electricity through solar energy through Shams 1, and it is the biggest station in the Middle East. We hosted IRENA, as I mentioned. We have Masdar, and we have many others. The developmental process needs will, capacities, not only financial capabilities. Many countries failed, although they had the money, because they lacked the human resources, the will, and the determination to achieve this. Thanks to our wise leadership and to the blessing of God, we could achieve what been achieved. This alternative renewable energy is an important topic today, and our students are following up their higher studies in this field. Our local investments, as I mentioned, are quite high. The results achieved in terms of the contribution of the private sector, there is an increase of the share of the private sector in investments. Also, we have achieved a lot of infrastructure in order to implement investment strategic projects in the United Arab Emirates. Also trade in services representing 14% of the total foreign trade, and in 2012 it achieved a growth rate of 14%. When a country like the United Arab Emirates has an approach, a will, a vision, people, we can say we are on the competitiveness ladder. Because of the achievements of the Emirates, what been achieved by the wise leadership of Emirates, the people of Emirates, all the people who exerted efforts to build Emirates, the nationals and the residents, we welcome everybody and appreciate the efforts of everybody, because unless we all cooperate, we wouldn't be able to achieve what been achieved. And in line with these tendencies, we can say that the United Arab Emirates could achieve its competitiveness. Why? Because it has good infrastructure. It comes as number 2 in terms of the infrastructure because of the quality of marine transport, road transport, civil aviation transport. This is in line with the tendencies to achieve competitiveness. Institution indicator achieved rank number 12 because there is no violence on the business sector, and there is good confidence in the policy and decreased in the organized crime and the credibility of the services and the moral behavior of the corporations. Values and ethics are part and parcel of our strategic developmental steps. And we work to ensure the rights of everybody. There is an important aspect of the developmental dimensions, which is the human resources. The Emirates exerted efforts to develop a social policy that aims at enabling people to have access to the health services, the education services, and to enhance the role of the citizens in the development. This is a very important point because through this point we can benefit from the services extended by the state, because they will provide better living conditions for all citizens and residents in the country. The United Arab Emirates, as I've just mentioned, gives due attention, as it was the case in the vision of the late Sheikh Zayed, and now the wise leadership followed that path to give due attention to both the economic development and the social growth, because the human beings are the most important element that would sustain this development. The strategy launched by the Ministry of Social Affairs in 2008 achieved for the first time a number of objectives with the aim of building an integrated, coherent society that can be pioneering in the development and upgrading the social action. There are many financial resources allocated for education. In 2013, social care and social benefits of the public budgetary had 22.7 billion of the overall budget, that is of 44 billion dirham, with an increase of 55% for social care. Our wise leadership and government are giving the necessary financial allocations in order to manifest the vision of developing human resources, to develop the people and to give them care. The Ministry of Social Affairs deal with more than 500 NGOs, kindergartens and nurseries, elderly centers and centers for people with special needs, with a total infrastructure of 2 billion and 255 million in 2012. The government in its strategy since 2008 until 2014 has a portfolio of social services for the different institutions. In 2012, the cabinet adopted on the 28th of June a decision to have a fund for social security and to spend from this fund on the rehabilitation of people with special needs, and to ensure that there is accountability in the provision of social services. Also, the legislative framework has been developed. There are issues related to women, child protection, protection of labor rights, NGOs, funds, and trusts. These are all developed in order to ensure good quality of services, and also other supporting institutions. We can say that the United Arab Emirates is on the path of comprehensive, sustainable, inclusive, balanced development because of all the points I've mentioned. The Emirates invested in the economy, in education, in social cares, in the development of human resources. All that could achieve balanced development through which we can have all the coordination needed amongst all the objectives to be competitive on the international level. I think you agree with me that the experience of Emirates in the development process is an example to be followed by others, and there are many lessons learned from our experience. This should benefit countries endeavoring to build their development to achieve economic development and social development. It is expected that the Emirates would achieve an economic growth of 4.5% in 2014, according to the indicators that show vital development in non-oil sectors. And you can follow up that in the reports in this field. The opportunities in the Emirates could lead to these achievements through the endeavor of the wise leadership and the different instruments developed, the strategies, the follow-up, the legislative system, the judiciary, and the integrity of the judiciary is quite important because it provides protection to corporates and to people. As developmental analysts, We should look at all that as opportunities that led to sustainable, balanced development. The financial sector also, there is good regulation of the financial sector. As I mentioned, education to lead to knowledge-based economy. Good healthcare, development of also administration and administrative reform and strategies for the private and government sector based on follow-up, transparency and accountability. Without these principles, we cannot assess ourselves nor develop our productivity. The wise leadership and with the cooperation of the people of the Emirates and the efforts exerted, they could have this commitment and sense of belonging. The students, the employees, even housewives. This is a very important factor. The wise leadership, when having all those seeds, these did not come through messages nor decisions. It is a distinctive model. It is giving the example. The leaders are our idol. Sheikh Zayed used to irrigate the soil and everybody would see him working. So our leaders are example to be followed. They lead by acting themselves. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed developed Abshir system. This gives confidence to the citizens on the importance of working in the private sector. The wise leadership could deepen up in the minds of the people the importance of developmental efforts and linked that to the KPIs. As I've just told you, they were examples. Our leaders acted as examples. Let me give you an example of the council of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. It's an open council and it hosts all the people, listens to all the problems of people. This is the open system that has always been since the times of the late Sheikh Zayed. Also with Sheikh Khalifa, Sheikh Mohammed, they involve the people. They count on the contribution of the people, the nationals, because they are the focus of interest and the partners in the making of development and the beneficiaries of the fruits of development. Also, we can add that the government is keen on following up the international development. This is why the Emirati citizens are not accepting low levels, but they always compare themselves to the world levels. I would like to talk about the challenges, not very big challenges. I can divide challenges into two categories. Our human resources, natural resources, and there are other issues that are beyond our reach or beyond our scope. There are international development that have an impact on us. First of all, we have a scarcity of water and high cost of drinking water, also lack of fertile soil in order to achieve food security and not to be consumers only and to produce what we consume. These are challenges. These are the natural challenges. The private sector sometimes does not act according to the facilities presented by the government. We want the private sector to be better contributor to the development and to provide more. Also, the limited demographic base. We need to have more nationals, workers, in order to achieve the sustainable development, because we work for future generations as well. There is another challenge, and I think that the government is capable of facing this challenge. As a person who works in the university, I was the head of the scientific research in the Emirates University. The IT, the scientific revolution, the development of scientific research are all very important, because in order to have creativity, innovation, and to have innovation as a developmental option, we should push our students to work more in the scientific field and to have more scientific research, because through scientific research we can develop the industrial sector, the medical sector, the educational sector. Patents are important. The development of the desalination sector, for example, the solar energy sector. So more scientific researches. These are, or scientific research is an opportunity and a threat at the same time. There are some factors represented in the international financial fluctuations and the international financial crisis, such as the crisis of 2008. However, with God's will and with our work, we could overcome those challenges. And every time we face a challenge, an external challenge, that is, we find that our wise government develops a path to work on. I'm very proud to be in the government of the United Arab Emirates, and I am proud that through my academic career, I could present to my students some successful experiences from the Emirates, and I am really happy to be here with you today to present those achievements that make us all happy and make us more determined and having more will in order to work more, in order to contribute in the sectors that we haven't contributed in, because our country needs the efforts of everybody. Whether a civil servant, a private sector, you as a UAE national has a very good function. I'm sorry that I took longer time than I should. I am really sick, and I took cortisone in order to come here and to talk to you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maitha Salem Shamsi, for this presentation that showed us the developmental process of the UAE. You presented a clear idea of the tendencies of development and the importance of sustainable development as an important axis in the strategies of the country. I open the floor for discussion. You are kindly requested to stand up if you wish to take the floor and to present yourself, then to pose your question, hopefully a short, brief question. Abdul Rida Asiri, Al Kuwait University. I would like to congratulate you on the holy month of Ramadan. Many happy returns of the month. I am really happy today for many reasons. I'm happy because we talk about development, opportunities and challenges, and both speakers are women. The moderator is a woman. This is a live picture of the achievements of the UAE. Congratulations to the Emirates. You talked about 2 points, especially Her Excellency the Minister. She told us about the government program. And also Ms. Fatima Shamsi told us about the science and the development. 42 years is the age of the United Arab Emirates, and it could achieve all those achievements. Other countries would take 420 years to achieve that. The Emirates has been successful in creating the new human citizen who is creative, educated, and the indicator to that is the woman. Where was the woman 42 years ago, and where is she now? I think that the speaker mentioned that this development has been also been possible with the contribution of the foreign labor here in Emirates and in all GCC countries. The problem, and I would like to hear your comment, in these countries, the percentage of nationals ranges between 10% to 50% of the overall demographic structure. This creates a problem. The citizens feel that they are surrounded by non-nationals, and that the minority are nationals and the majority are non-nationals. This would lead to political security issues. I would like to thank ECSSR for this Ramadan lectures. Thank you, and كل عام وأنتم بخير. I'm sorry, I cannot hear the speaker. I would like to give the floor to people in the back rows. Assalamu alaikum. Jamil Fayyad from Lebanon. It's nice to talk about development in the United Arab Emirates. Could you kindly raise your voice, sir? It's nice to talk about development because it makes one optimistic. Truly, the United Arab Emirates is an example to be followed. As mentioned by Dr. Fatima, there are challenges, including the demographic structure and the dominance of the oil sector and unemployment. I was surprised to hear 7% is unemployment rate. My question is twofold. First, do we have any solution to the demographic structure issue and to unemployment? How can we understand, how can we have unemployment in Emirates when we see many job opportunities? Assalamu alaikum. The question is on the same point. Dr. Fatima mentioned that the percentage of Emirati nationals is 16%. This is a recognition on your side that the foreign laborers play an important role in the building of these countries. I would like to ask you, what is the reward for the foreign workers? I worked here for 30 years in education as a teacher. What happened? My house rent was 60,000 per year. Now it's 120,000. I used to have free education for my children. Now it's very costly education. I used to have a free health care services. Now I have to pay for health services. Is this a reward to people who contributed to building this country? Some countries are giving its nationality to the people. I am a Palestinian person. I'm not asking you for a nationality or for a citizenship. I would like you to consider having, for example, a study of those people who contributed to building United Arab Emirates and to give them citizenship, nationality, especially people like you, like me, who are Palestinians and do not have nationality, or they are not citizens of any country. Thank you and Salamu Alaikum. I enjoyed the presentations. Dr. Fatima, you mentioned that there are high rates of consumption and low levels of savings. Is there a strategic plan to deal with this? Second, this is a thorny issue, the issue of demographic structure. Dr. Jamal Sanad Al-Suwaidi in May mentioned that it is on the Arab level and not only the GCC level, we should consider the issue of giving their nationality to some people who live in them. We should reconsider and revisit the demographic structure. Is there any strategic vision on the level of the government? Second, I would like to ask about the contribution of youth in the development. To what extent the Emirati youth are contributing to development? Doctor, go ahead, please. I thank you for those questions and interventions. Dr. Al-Asiri, you asked about the low rate of citizens in the demographic structure, and this is an issue for all GCC countries. It is quite apparent in the United Arab Emirates. As I mentioned, the percentage of the UAE nationals is 11% according to the most recent statistics. This is an issue and we all realize. This is a challenge we all see. We need the foreign labor because we are a state that aims at building a strong international economy, and we need foreign labor to contribute to building this country. But this does not mean that we overcome the existence of this issue, and we should develop strategic plans. There have been several attempts to decrease the negative impact of this phenomenon through encouraging UAE nationals to have more children, encourage family planning in terms of increasing the number of people. However, this is still limited. I mean, giving nationality or citizenship there is a realization that we need to think of increasing the population through giving nationality for those who have the skills and capacities needed by the country, and there should be a strategy that identifies the competencies needed to build a strong economy and to take into consideration the people who contributed to building the United Arab Emirates, who have been with us since the establishment of the country, and they have children who have been brought up here in this country. Especially those children who were born in the Emirates and got their education in the Emirates. Undoubtedly, the leadership considers this aspect. Maybe Dr. Maitha, as a Minister of State, can present maybe the vision of the government of the United Arab Emirates. Unemployment levels. We know that there is a large number of foreign laborers. However, there is high unemployment of UAE nationals. I think that the reason behind this unemployment are for social issues. This unemployment increases as female unemployment because of the social controls that limit the movement of Emirati women from one emirate to other. Mostly these are in the northern Emirates, such as Ras Al Khaimah and Al Fujairah. The job opportunities there are limited, especially in the private sector, and the available opportunities are only in the government sector. And as we know, the government sector has reached saturation. So no more job opportunities with the government sector. There are social hindrances that do not allow the women to travel and to live on their own in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, for example. There are also other social issues that do not allow the girls, for example, to work in the private sector. So this is the reason. However, there are several initiatives by the government to provide more job opportunities such as Tawteen initiative and Abshir initiative for more entrepreneurship opportunities. This is with the aim of decreasing this unemployment and to help the job seekers of both sexes to find job opportunities. There are also efforts to encourage the private sector through giving this sector some incentives to attract and employ more UAE nationals. The gentleman who asked about the high levels of consumption and low levels of investments and savings, yes, I agree with you. This is a challenge because we do have high consumption amounting to more than 60%, whereas investments rates are 20%. I'm talking here about the population in general. Also, the capital accumulation does not exceed 20%. This is an issue. We are a society that consumes a lot, and we have to develop incentives for the UAE nationals, because the high consumption levels are the consumption of the UAE nationals. So we should develop several approaches in order to decrease consumption, especially luxury consumption. This is a disease, actually, that we as nationals. So we should limit that, and we should encourage investment opportunities rather than this luxury item consumptions excessively. We should encourage the youth to invest in small businesses. Doctor? I would like to thank all the participants for being with us in this evening that is taking much longer than what was planned for. I think Fatima has attended to all the questions, but I would like to stress that the government strategy for the youth and their role in the development, all those who are in this room are youth. Those who work in the private sector, the public sector, the investments, Shams 1, Masdar, they all are youth. Even the what we call now the social service is for the youth. So the strategy is there, strategies of education, the federal government strategy. There is a program which is called Masar. This is a program that requests any ministry with any job vacancy to attract students at the secondary education level and to send this student to study in a particular specialization they need. And we have the biggest segment of our society as youth, so they should contribute to the development and be beneficiaries also. In conclusion, it's my pleasure to thank Her Highness Her Excellency Dr. Maitha Salem Shamsi and Dr. Fatima Shamsi for all those ideas presented on development in UAE, that challenges and the opportunities. I would like also to thank you all for contributing to the discussion in this